Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Despicable Me, the best of the worst comments that I receive from the wretched creatures dwelling out there in cyberspace. And this one is really pretty awful, I have to say. It comes from one of the Rott-Weilers. What is a Rott-Weiler? The followers of Hans Rott. Who was Hans Rott, you might ask? That's a good question. He was an Austrian composer who died at the very young age of 24 in 1884. He was a paranoid schizophrenic. He accosted someone on a train claiming that Brahms had filled the train with dynamite to blow him up and was committed to an asylum where he died of tuberculosis. Mahler and Bruckner recognized his genius and thought that he was a composer with enormous potential. And that his loss was a serious blow to the development of contemporary music. His style, such as it was, because you can't claim it was fully formed, but he wrote a few orchestral pieces and some songs and a couple chamber works and a big symphony, which is kind of a mess, but it has interesting foreshadowings of Mahler and sounds of Bruckner. It uses a lot of Austrian folkish kinds of things, such as we hear in the scherzo of Mahler's First and in some of Bruckner's, dance things and all that. It also quotes from Brahms' First Symphony. It's dysfunctional formally. It's way too long. It's shabby in terms of its orchestration, but it has flashes of the new, of fresh and original thought. And that's what, excuse me, and that's what Mahler heard in it and said so. And that's what his followers hear in it. And ironically, I mean, they show you how demented these people are. They simultaneously claim, they use Mahler to claim that he was a genius, because Mahler said very glowing things about him. And then they use his music to say that Mahler stole from him and to trash Mahler while citing Mahler. I mean, isn't there something kind of like warped about that? And the whole thing is warped because he's a very, very minor figure of absolutely no musical importance or significance, who yet wrote some interesting music for people who care about music of that period. He also wrote some junk, some stuff that's completely uninteresting. And I reviewed a couple discs of his orchestral works, including the symphony, where I gave a very, I thought, honest and fair evaluation of its strengths and weaknesses, of which it has plenty of both, let's just say. And the weaknesses are serious ones, and they need to be pointed out. So the Rott-Weilers, who think that, of course, he's God and can do no wrong, and that he's an underdog who's been routinely dismissed as an insignificant blip in the history of music, which he was, they have a hard time accepting that their love of him is not commensurate with his alleged epic significance in the history of music. So that's the background to this comment, which has, as you will see, things going other than just love of Rott behind it. It's from Coenraad, Koenraad 4618. I just find it amazing that these people who are willing to, write these scurrilous things, but they are hiding behind their screen names. I mean, there's something so cowardly about that. Isn't it just unreasonable, unbelievable that they do this? But, it's the way the internet works, right? So here we go. It was Rott's first symphony, and I fully disagree with the criticism by Mr. Dave. I trust my ears, not some self-proclaimed music critic, quote unquote. What is missing in Rott's symphony are interesting musical themes with a beginning and an end, an evolving storyline. But on the other hand, it is so full of novel ideas for that era, fresh soundscapes. Mahler called Rott's new symphony style brilliant. Perhaps Rott was not Jewish, which might explain, was not enough Jewish, which might explain why his symphony is so harshly judged by Mr. David Hurwitz. Is it really too bombastic? All too many Jewish composers sound absolutely bombastic, theatrical, developed overly simplistic themes, and show over-the-top sentimentality. So why is bombastic such a no-no for Mr. Rott? Answer, it isn't, etc., etc., ellipsis. I rather listen to music with no musical theme at all, with plenty of fresh ideas, than listening to a boring, simplistic musical theme that can be plugged into a whatever boring Hollywood musical, and we know to who it all belongs to, there in good old Hollywood, such as the themes in Brahms' Third Symphony. Eh? Oh, the critical judgment. I am out of here. Yes, he is out of here. So obviously, there is a smidge of anti-Semitic rhetoric there, which I encounter depressingly frequently, I have to say. And a lot of you, I understand. You hear these things and you say, why would you give this person a forum? Why are you reading this stuff? And the reason I do it, and I have to be very honest about this, is because I think it's important. I really do. I think it's important that people know that this exists, that it not be covered up. I mean, this schmuck may hide behind his screen name and all of that nonsense, but it's really, really important for people to realize that however much we love music, how glorious it is, all of the wonderful qualities that we devote to it, it can be twisted. It can be perverted. There are dark elements. It's very, very easy for people to use something that we all love and that we all think is a universal good for ill purposes. And when I read a comment like this, we just find that I read it and I go, oh yeah. I mean, look at this. This still exists in this day and age. And yes, it does. I mean, we see in the wider world at large this kind of demonization, the racism, the hatred, the stupidity, the sheer unquantifiable stupidity of people who say things like this. And it really is extraordinary, and it needs to be called out for what it is. I believe that very, very strongly, even in this forum, even where we're all, making, kumbaya and sharing our love of music and our fun in listening to it. And of course, that's the important thing. The more important thing out of the 5,300 and some odd videos I've done by now, only a tiny handful involve this kind of vitriol and hate speech. But that doesn't change the fact that it's there, and it needs to be exposed. It needs to be exposed. We have to always be vigilant and on guard, and if we really believe in the virtue of great music, of culture, of art, of beauty, all of these things, then we have to defend it. And we have to defend it from those who would demean what we're trying to do and what we believe. And I further insist that the worst way to deal with this kind of stuff is to ignore it, to let it go unanswered. So there it is. I've mentioned it. I've answered it. I hope I've exposed it for the absurdity that it is. And I look forward to the next absolutely moronic comment that comes my way. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.